Okay, and we're live. G'day, Facebook. So we got a very special Facebook Live today. I'm actually recording this as a live run podcast. So we've had some technical difficulties, got through them. I didn't have any. Monoval went out of internet for about 10 minutes just before, so we're running about 30 minutes behind schedule. But we are good to go. So I am being joined by Tim Sheridan from York Finance. Tim is a finance expert and finance broker, and he's here to talk to me and help me and other people who share the same small business problems that I do. Try and get out of this COVID hole, give me some tips, some hacks, especially from the banks, about what we can do. So let's play the music. G'day. Welcome to the Taylor Training Podcast. This is Richard Taylor, personal trainer, and I am joined with Tim Sheridan from York Finance. And you are on, Tim. How you doing?
Hey, Richard. How are you going?
Good, mate. I've got some questions for you. I'm a small business owner. I've got a gym running. I've got expenses. I've got costs. And my business is severely impacted by what's going on right now. Give me off the top of your head 3 things that you think I can do right now that I might not know about, that have happened in the last week, that I can do to help me get out of this hole.
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to start by saying that support is available. This is obviously a very stressful time, both for consumers as well as small business owners. For many people, it's an interruption to their employment. Perhaps they may have lost their job recently, or there's a chance that they'll lose their job in the near future. For business owners, they may have had a very sudden interruption to their normal income, but they still have a full range of business expenses to look after. And so unless they have very substantial cash reserves, this is a significant stress for their business. Luckily, there's been a very strong reaction by the Australian government. There's been a very strong reaction by the Reserve Bank of Australia. And there's been a very strong reaction by the banks in Australia. There are things that have been well publicised, like tax breaks for small business owners, as well as social benefits for people who have lost their jobs. I'm not going to be focusing on those things today. I'm going to be focusing on the banking side of things. So the Reserve Bank has made some cheap funding available, and that funding means that the big banks and some of the smaller banks and financial tech companies can be providing cheaper loans to businesses at the moment to help them get through this period. And so that's great that that's happening. It's excellent that it's a coordinated effort. So I guess the things that people should be doing at the moment, regardless of whether they're a consumer or a small business owner, if they have a mortgage, if they have personal loans, if they're or car loans, if they're a business owner and they have a commercial property mortgage, or they have small business loans that just for their working capital, or if they have loans, a lot of gym owners will have extensive equipment finance loans for all of their equipment. So speak to your bank that you have that loan with, explain what's going on for your business at the moment, and discuss with them the chance to either take a full repayment holiday, so no principal repayments, no interest payments, if you feel like that's what needs to happen. If you've just had, let's say, a 30% reduction in your income, but you still are getting some income into your business, then perhaps it's more appropriate for your situation just to have remove the principal component, so you're not paying back what you've borrowed, and just go interest only for a few months, so you're roughly halving your repayment cost. That's a good idea. Or if you've got cash reserves and you're not expecting to have a reduction in your income because you're some form of essential service that is going to continue to do okay during this period, then there's might not be a need to speak to your bank and make a reduction. But definitely, whenever you're speaking to a bank or an equipment finance lender about the loans that you have, request to speak to the financial hardship team. They're a separate team. They've got separate authority within a bank or a lender, and so they understand what's required of them and how they can treat you, and they have special authority to make new payment arrangements with you to try and alleviate the financial strain that you might be experiencing at the moment. Another really great resource, and it's great at the moment, but it's also a great resource when we're not in a period of bad economic circumstances, is the government website moneysmart.gov.au. They provide great general information about how to manage your personal finances and some information about business as well. If you go on there at the moment, a pop-up will appear on the bottom of your screen, and the pop-up on the bottom of the screen will tell you, give you a good summary of everything the government and the banks are doing to support people during this COVID-19 epidemic. So that's a great resource, and it talks about what is happening from a taxation perspective and a social perspective with government payments for people who have lost their jobs, as well as making financial arrangements.
Right. I'm just posting this now. I'm just kind of posting these as comments.
Yeah, sure.
I think that might help. Sorry, that's whoops. Yeah, cool. Fantastic. That's awesome.
The other thing that's worth mentioning, I would be surprised if anyone makes contact with their bank and they don't feel like they get looked after at the moment. But if you do have a loan with a lender and you call them and you speak to them and ask for some form of assistance during this time, and you find that they're not helpful,
yep.
The MoneySmart website has got a link to the debt helpline, or you can just Google debt helpline. That's an Australian free service. They will discuss what are your rights and responsibilities, and what are the rights and responsibilities of a lender, and they will help to make sure that you're not mistreated by a lender. So that's a fantastic resource as well, and they will also align you with a financial counselling service if you're really going through a tough time, as just another support for you. So that's some of the key ways that you can get support at the moment if you're having a tough time, or if you're stressed and concerned about the future. There's some great things. Definitely have a chat with your accountant or bookkeeper, because they can give you all of the best information about what's happening from a tax perspective. And obviously, if you've arranged your home loan or business loans through a mortgage broker or finance broker, have a chat with them as well, because they have got, I guess, better understanding of what's happening on the banking side. And they'll be there as an added support to make sure that you get the correct treatment from your bank or from your lender.
Good stuff. Kenny says hi, guys. Thanks, Kenny. Hi, Kenny. So I've got a few loans, both some through the business. I actually took a personal loan out to pay for a bunch of the starting costs for my business. How does that change the situation? Is there something specific I have, a specific type of conversation I have to have? Is there anything I need to address?
Well, I guess the first thing that you need to have a look at is there's also a great budget template, personal finance budget template on Money Smart, so that you can put in all your living expenses. That's a really useful thing for you to do. You put in your income, and it's got like 30 different line items for all of the expenses that you would have generally. That gives you an idea of what your ratio is between income and expenses, and it will let you know if you have disposable income or if you're actually got more expenses than you have income at the moment. And also going through each of those line items, you'll see expenses that you're incurring on a monthly basis that perhaps you're no longer using or they don't need to be there. That's a great way of working out some of the discretionary expenses that you can eliminate, especially during this tough time, so that you're running a bit more lean. For a business owner, it's great if you have a forecast with your operating expenses. Your accountant or your bookkeeper should help you with this. If you don't know how to do that, or if you haven't got you're not sure how to do that with your accounting software, I'd be happy to have a chat with people and let them know how they can do that. But definitely, I think that anyone should be doing right now is working out what income do they have available, and what do they expect to happen to that income. So what will happen if they have a 20% reduction in their income in the next few months? What will happen if they have a 40% reduction in their income over the next few months? Then have a look at how does that relate to the living expenses on a personal basis or your operating expenses on a business basis, and see what you're left with. Is that looking healthy, or does it look like you're not going to have enough income to make ends meet? Once you've got an understanding of that, then you can have a chat with your bank, your lender, regardless if it's a personal loan or if it's a car loan, equipment finance, mortgage, business loans. Once you know what your situation is, you can have a chat with a member of a financial hardship team, explain your situation, explain what you're expecting over the next 6 months or 9 months, and work out a plan to reduce your expenses, reduce your repayments, to get you through this time.
That's good. Got a question from Michael. You want to take some questions, Tim?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
All right, let's do this. Mike Stern, thanks for joining us. Thanks for the question, Mike. Hey, Timbo, is now a good time to get into the stock market?
Well, that's a bit of a discussion around investment, and you'd want to have a think about what your tolerance is for risk at the moment. The ASX 200 was over 7,000 at the midway late part of January. It's now come down to around 5,000. So that's a pretty hefty reduction. You may see that as an opportunity to get in while the stock market is low, and ride it back up. Are we at the bottom of the stock market, or is there going to be more falls coming, given that things are still getting worse in a number of developed countries, such as the US? That's up for you to decide, and perhaps seek the advice of an investment professional. Yeah.
Michael says minimal tolerance, mate. Period.
Yeah, not sure. I think if you've got a low tolerance for risk, I'd be looking at something that's a well-diversified investment portfolio. A company called Vanguard Investments has an investment fund. The ASX code is VDCO. And that's a conservative investment fund for people who have got a low risk tolerance, but trying to get a return on their money, which is higher than the very low rate of interest you get with a high interest savings account at the bank at the moment. Yeah, I would be speaking to an investment advisor, such as a financial planner at the moment, if you have spare money that you're hoping to invest at this point in time, because there's still a fair amount of volatility, given that we're not really sure how the economy is going to go this year in Australia and in other developed markets like the US and Europe.
Good one. Michael asks, would you recommend ETFs? And do you know what ETFs are?
Yeah, exchange traded funds. So again, this is a bit of a investment discussion. I just want to make clear, I'm a finance broker, so I help people who are looking to borrow money, either to purchase a home or investment property, as well as assisting businesses with working out what is an appropriate debt structure for their business, and how to help the business grow over time. Investment decisions are best to be discussed with financial planners and investment advisors. ETFs are good for, I guess you're investing in, as opposed to investing in one stock. So instead of investing in one company, you're investing in either a range of assets or a range of businesses, so that you're spreading that risk. So it is good if you have a lower risk tolerance and you're hoping to make some gains.
So just so you know that Tim actually can't see the comments, unless you can't see the comments, can you? No. Okay. So I'm passing them on. Raymond also wants to know if you're DTF with ETFs. So it's quite topical and it's trending. Looks like. And Kenny has a question. Will the moratorium that was announced be extended?
Can we have some more information on that?
Do you have? That's all I got. That's all I got with that. Will the moratorium that was announced be extended?
Kenny, can we have some more information on what this moratorium is that you're mentioning?
Yeah, Kenny, more info. If you please.
I guess that's an interesting discussion point. So the government is announcing a huge range of measures to help support the economy, help support families, help support businesses during this time. Some of those things have been announced by politicians, saying what the banks will do, and suddenly the banks have had to work out how they can deliver a program. So one example is the banks came out about 3 or 4 weeks ago saying they were going to, the banks were going to provide business loans up to $250,000 fully unsecured, which means the person who is applying for $250,000, they don't have to provide property or equipment as a security for that loan. And so usually that's considered higher risk lending, and the banks the big banks aren't a big fan of doing large unsecured loans, but the government has sort of put them in a position where they need to, and so it sounded too good to be true a few weeks ago, and now the information that's actually flowed through the major banks is that they will allow business owners to borrow up to $250,000. The first 6 months will be no repayments. The second 6 months will be interest only. And then the second and third year will be a fully amortizing loan. So they have to make principal and interest repayments and repay that up to $250,000. It's important to note that your ability to take out that loan will be measured off your last 2 years company financials or business financials. So your 2018 and your 2019 business financials, you won't be measured on the financial health of the business at the moment because Australia's had horrible bushfires throughout December and January, and now we're dealing with a virus pandemic. So they're not looking at the recent financial health of the business, but the business had to be in a position to be able to borrow money based off its last 2 years of company or business financials. If the business had or has ATO debt, if the business was already struggling with cash flow, you're not going to be eligible for these loans. So the government has sort of been beating a drum, saying that they're releasing these fantastic initiatives, but there are definitely eligibility criteria attached to that. Banks, obviously, they're public companies. They have a responsibility to their shareholders at the end of the day, so they still have to be supportive of what's happening in the economy, but they also can't be taking needless risk and lending out money that won't be paid back.
Lucinda Taylor has a question. I've been told to access my super to pay rent. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Again, it's a little bit down the investment side, but I would be using that as the very last resort if you're going through financial difficulties at the moment. And I'll explain why. Going back to Michael Stern's question, is now a good time to invest in the stock market? Well, the stock market has just had a very drastic reduction. I think it may actually be the biggest share market crash in Australia's history, or at least one of if it's not the first, it's the second largest share market crash in history, Australia's history. So many people have got their superannuation fund. Your superannuation fund invests your superannuation savings on your behalf to try and grow that money for you. And a lot of that investment is done in the share market. If you have a balanced superannuation fund as opposed to a high growth superannuation fund, I think around 50 to 60 or 60 to 70% of your superannuation savings is invested in the share market. Now that means that the value of your superannuation savings has dropped recently because of this reduction in the share market. And if you were to pull money out now, then you're further reducing the amount of money in your superannuation fund. So if you can avoid not touching that, then I would say that you should definitely avoid touching that money because it needs to recover as the economy recovers and the share market recovers. Now would be a great time to put some money into your superannuations, some voluntary money into your superannuation savings if you're able to do that. But yeah, if you are in financial difficulties, I would definitely be going through the list on the Money Smart website, looking at all of the tax concessions, looking at all of the Centrelink benefits before dipping into the money in your superannuation savings. That is for your retirement, and you should be doing your best to let that grow until you retire.
Good one. I don't know whether he's having a laugh or not, but Raymond asks, "What about using your super to reno your house?" I won't post the one he posted before. You can look at that after. I'll post this one.
There are rules around how you can use your superannuation savings, and renovations on your house is definitely not one of them. Usually, the only time that you can access your superannuation savings, and we're not dealing with a COVID-19 pandemic. The only situation where you can access your superannuation savings is if you're experiencing a major life event, and you need that money to help you survive. So if you're in a situation where you needed a heart transplant, you've lost your employment, and you literally need money to take care of medical bills, that's how extreme the situation needs to be to be able to access your superannuation savings.
Good. That's all the questions. We knocked through those. There are quite a few of them. And
there are also, so there's federal government stimulus which has been announced, but there is also state-based government stimulus that's being provided.
Yep.
Something was mentioned this morning that the New South Wales government has announced a $10,000 grant for small business owners. I haven't seen any definite detail on that just yet, but there continues to be new announcements as to how the government and the banks are going to support people, how they're going to support small business owners through this time. So it's definitely worthwhile looking at the Money Smart website on a regular basis and chatting to your support network, your accountant, financial planner, finance broker, and your lenders around what support is available.
So I guess what I'm hearing right now is the blanket piece of advice to give to small businesses is that start to open lines of communication with the people you're transferring money with. There's my understanding was that there's the JobKeeper allowance has not been launched yet, but they've opened it up for to receive notifications. So it's and what you're saying is speak to this person, speak to that person, start these conversations now, and then the ball will get rolling, and take advice as it comes. Is that about right?
Yeah, so I definitely want people to know that there's support available if you're going through a tough time, financial support as well as the debt helpline and the financial counselling service. Financial stress has a big impact on your health and well-being, and so that needs to be managed at this point in time. So I want people to know that support is available. If you're worried, pick up the phone. Definitely make contact with the people that assist you with your loans and with your financial management.
Good.
Check out the Money Smart website. I've said it a number of times.
Yep.
And just do some work in terms of looking at your current income, looking at your living expenses and operating expenses. What can you What can you cut out? How can you get through this time?
That's excellent. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Tim. What? Let's turn this into a health conversation. How's So we're all at home. You're running your own small business. What have you taken? What steps have you taken to either maintain your activity or build some kind of health based routine?
Yeah. So as you're aware, I've got a little 10-week-old
10 weeks.
Little daughter at the moment. She's so that's, I guess that's added some excitement into our household. In the early weeks, since she was born, we've been going for walks in the pram in our local area, and that was just something to do to get out, get a bit of exercise. I guess introduce some new stimulus to our baby girl, and get some fresh air. So we've tried to continue that, but it's, I guess, I'm definitely not wanting to take any extra risk with getting infected at the moment, because we don't know too much about how it would impact a brand new baby. So we don't really want to roll the dice on that. So we're being pretty precautious, and we've started to stay home a lot more. Also, there's been a bit of wet weather, so we haven't been going out in that. But I'm lucky we've got a balcony that looks out onto a couple of trees. We get to see the sunshine in the afternoon, so that helps us to make us feel like we're not locked in. But we do try and go for a walk when we can. The other thing that I do, which is awesome for me, is there's great little half-hour or 1 hour relaxation videos that you can load up on YouTube for free. There's a couple of so little half-hour meditations or 1 hour meditations, or even sort of guided meditations and guided sort of hypnosis relaxation videos on YouTube. That's great if you've not had a lot of sleep the night before because Bub's been keeping us up, or if there's just a bit of stress coming through from work, taking half an hour to shut your eyes, to breathe, and just try and quieten your mind is really good.
That's awesome. Good advice. So Tim, you'll leave I think I've shared your Facebook page. How do people get in contact with you? How would people best connect with you?
Yeah, anyone can message you directly if they've got questions, or they can go to the yorkfinance.com.au website. There's a 1300 number there if they want to get in touch with me, or they can leave a request for a call back. And obviously happy to chat via the Facebook business page as well.
Facebook's a good one. That's the easiest. Good on you, mate. Thanks so much for giving us this valuable advice. I got plenty to think about and plenty of action to take, and I'm sure you've helped a lot of people as well. So thanks a lot, mate. Take care.
No problem.
Cheers, mate. And we are finishing the podcast now. I'm going to play the outro music. I'm trying to be all fancy with this. And go.